This is CSS Dinner, an exercise in Cascading Style Sheet selectors. Cascading Style Sheets select different parts of markup language documents, and you can see here's the markup language document that we'll be working with. I've highlighted it. In this case, it looks like an XML document because there is no HTML element that I'm aware of called plate. Markup documents contain structured data, and cascading style sheets select bits and pieces of that document and say, let's make it look this way or do that with it. So in this first exercise, we want to just select the plates. So we just say plate. In this second exercise, we want to select the bento boxes. So we've got two bentos and a plate, and we can just say bento. I've done uppercase just to show that when we selecting tags like plate or bento, it is case insensitive. On level 3, we want to select the fancy plate. The fancy plate has an ID equal to fancy, and the plain plate and the bento, plain bento. So when we want to select IDs, IDs are typically unique within, the values are unique anyways. We can just say hashtag that says pick the ID, and then I've done it as uppercase just to show you that it is not going to work. It is a value in quotes, lowercase, so it is case sensitive. Level 4, we want to select the apple on the plate. Well, we can select apple, and that will select all the apples. To select apples on the plate, we say plate. That will first find the plate, and then it will find any apples that are contained in under that plate. On level 5, we want to select the pickle on the fancy plate. Well, let's first find the fancy plate, and to do that we do the ID fancy, and it's got to be lowercase, and then we find the plate, and now we want the pickle on the plate. So we just put a space and pickle. Now we want to select the small apples on level 6. So to do this, we got an apple, a regular size apple, a small apple, class equals small, and a class equals small apple here. Well, we can do this. We can select, just like we had a hash to select IDs, we have a dot to select classes. And the class in this case is a value of small, and I put it in uppercase just to remind you it is case sensitive, gets a value. That'll select everything that is small. Level 7, we want to select the small oranges. So let's just select small again, and it's case sensitive. This will select everything that's small, including the apple and the oranges. We just want the oranges. So this will first find all the oranges, and then it'll filter out the ones that have the small attribute, the class equals small attribute. At level 8, we select the small oranges in the bentos. Well, let's first select all the bentos. There we go. Now we want to select the oranges. This will select all the oranges that are on bentos, including this large one. We want to filter out the large one and just get the ones that have a class equal to small, so we do dot small. At level 9, we select all the plates and the bentos. Well, we're interested in plate, we're interested in bento, and it's case insensitive when selecting tags, and this would select all the bentos that are on plates, but there are no bentos on plates. When we select just a list of items, we select a comma separated list. And there we go. Select all the things. Well, we could say apple, comma, plate, comma, and on until we get the full list. Or we can just say asterisk, a wildcard character. It will select everything that there is to select. Select everything on a plate. Well, we just learned about the asterisk character that will select everything. But in this case, we want everything on a plate. So we have to select first the plates. And then it will select everything on plates. At level 12, we select every apple that's next to a plate. So, apple. This will select all the apples. And plates are relevant. This will select apples that are on plates. There are no apples on plates. There are only apples beside plates. So what we do is we say plus, and this is a sibling, adjacent sibling. It says anytime we see a plate and there's an apple beside it, select that apple. We see a plate, there's an apple beside it, select that apple. Select the pickles beside the bento. Well, we can do bento and then pickle. This will select all pickles that are on bentos, and there are none. When we did beside before, we did a plus, and that selects the first pickle. You can see the first pickle there was shaking. We want to select all the pickles that come after the bento, and to do that we do a tilde, that's squiggly mark. At level 14, we select the apple directly on a plate. So, apple. This will select all our apples. And we already know about selecting things that are on plates. We just select the plates, and then we select the apples that are on plates. And you see, we don't want this one. It is on a plate, but there's a bento in between. We only want what's directly on the plate. And to do that, we do this arrow. And that will select a plate and then an apple that is on a plate, nothing in between. Level 15, we select the top orange. And we're going to use the first child selector to do it. First child, let's see what that does. It selected the bento and it selected the orange. The bento is the first child in our list, and the orange is the first child of a plate. So we want to select the top orange. Just say orange and the first child. That'll select all the oranges first, and then the first one that's a child. Select the apple and the pickle on the plates. For this, we're going to use only child. So let's see what that does. Oh, it selected the apple, the pickle, but it did not select these two because they're not an only child. So we want to select the apple and the pickle on the plates. So we just have to say plate and put in a space because it's a child. This will select the plates and then any item that is an only child. This will select the plate, but it will not select these two because they're not only children. Level 17, select the small apple and the pickle. And we're going to use last child to do it. So let's put in last child and see what that does. It selected the apple, the large orange, and the pickle here. So to do this, we want something that's distinct about this apple. It is a small, class equals small. This orange is a regular side orange, and this pickle is a class equals small. So we can say dot small, and this will not work because they're, again, remember, classes are value, class equals small is value, and it's case sensitive. So there we go. Now we want to select the third plate. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 plates. And what's different about the third plate? Well, nothing from the first two, it's just position. So to do that, we do nth child, and we just want to say 3. So we put 3 in brackets. At 19, we want to select the first bento. So we're going to use nth last child to do it. And nth last child counts from the end. So the bento we want is 1, 2, 3. So let's put in 3 and see what that does. Oh, it selected the orange because the orange is also a third last child. 1, 2, 3. So we want the bentos only. Lowercase. It doesn't matter, we're selecting a tag. So first, we only select bentos, and then we select the third last bento. We want level 20, we select the first apple, and we're going to be using first of type. See what that does. It selected the orange, the apple, and the plate, because those are the first time those types show up in the list. Well, in this case, we just want apple. So this will select first the apples, and then it'll only select the first one that is an apple. Select all the even plates. Well, we're going to be using nth of type again. And there are positions 1, 3, and 5. They are odd. So we can put in odd, and that will select positions 1, 3, and 5. Or in this case, we want even. That will select positions 2, 4, and 6. At level 22, we want to select every second plate starting from the third. And here we're going to be using a formula with the nth of type. So this formula simply takes a number, and this we've already learned 2, 5, 6. But in this case, I'm going to say 1. So pick the first one, and you notice it's picking the first pickle as well and the first apple as well. They're shaking. To do this as a formula, 2n plus 1. Now it will select every second one past the first. This is the same as saying pick the odd. If I do 2n plus 2, this is the same as saying pick the even plates items. Or if I do 3n plus 2, starting at the second, it will start skipping every third, selecting every third item. Now in this case, we want starting from the third, so 3, select every second plate. So that will give us what we want. Select the apple on the middle plate. Here we're going to be using only of type, so let's see what only of type does. It selected the apple because it's the only one of a type on that plate. It selected the pickle, that's the only one of a type on that plate, and this is 2 apples, so it's not an only type. And in this case, we want apple. So now it'll go through and select all the apples and then filter it down to the one that's only of a type, the only one as a child. At level 24, we select the last apple and the orange. and we're going to be using last of type to do it. Let's see what last of type does. It selected the last orange, the last pickle, and the last apple. So, what is particular about the orange? The orange is small, the pickle is a regular size pickle, and the apple is small. So we can say dot small. Now this will find everything that's small, these two oranges and these two apples, and then it'll only go for the ones that are last of that type. 25, we want to select the empty bentos. So let's put in empty and see what that does. It selected the empty bento here. It selected this pickle, which doesn't contain anything, so it is technically empty, this plate, and this bento. So we want to filter that down to just the bentos. Select the big apples. Okay, well, first we want apples. This will take all the apples. That's a good start. And we want the big ones. They're just regular apples, and this one has a class equal to small. So to filter out this one that has small, we're going to use not. So apple that does not small. And I have to use lowercase. Remember, it's case sensitive when you're doing a class value. At 27, select the items for someone. Well, up till now, we could do a hash to select an ID. We could do a dot to select a class, but we can select any generic attribute, in this case for Ethan, for Alice, for Clara, and this isn't for anybody, there's no for attribute. So we say for. This will select anything that has a for attribute. Select the plates for someone. So again, we want to select anything that has a for, and I'm doing uppercase just to show that attribute names are case insensitive. It selected Steve, it selected the bento for Steve, the plate for Luke, and the plate for Sarah. But we want only plates. So that will select plates first, and then plates that have an attribute for. Select Vitali's meal. Well, there's Vitali's meal, bento for Vitali, a bento for Albania, and an apple for Alexei. So first we can say for, and that selects everything that has a for attribute. And we want to do Vitali, V-I-T-A-L-Y. And this will not work. Remember, it's in quotes. It is case sensitive. It's a value. So I have to put an uppercase on the V. At level 30, we want to select the items for names that start with SA. So again, we've got Sam for Sarah and for Mary. So we can put in for again. Now select everything that's for somebody. And we can say equals, quote, SA, and I'm getting it's case sensitive. So I'm putting in the case. Now nothing is for SA, so that won't fix anything. But we want it to start with, so we just use this little upward caret arrow. And that is a common regular expression term. It just means anything that matches the start of a string. And Cascading Style Sheets use this convention as well. Select the item for names that end with atto. Oh, we've got a bento for Hayato, an apple for Ryoto, and a plate for Minato. So again, we can say for. That will select everything that is for, has a for attribute. And we want it, the value to equal ATO, and nothing matches ATO, we have to say ends with ATO. And to do that, we do a $sign. And again, this is a common regular expression term that's also used by cascading style sheets just to mean matching the end of a string. And of course, as it's a value in quotes, it is case sensitive. At exercise 32, we do select the meals for names that contain ob. Well, we do for. That'll select everything that's for somebody. Robbie, Timmy, and Bobby. The value we're looking for is OBB, and nothing equals OBB. We want Robbie, and Timmy does not match, it doesn't even have an O, and Bobby has an OBB. So again, we can use the wildcard character, the asterisk, and this will say any attribute that contains a value with the characters OBB somewhere in there. And that's it. That is CSS Dinner Selectors exercise. You did it. You rock at CSS.